for taking time out to do this interview with us, Mr. President.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure for me.
She grew up in Brisbane, but this was her dream job, hosting business reports for Chinese broadcaster CGTN. But after 8 years on the desk, Cheng Lei suddenly vanished.
Getting bundled into a car, taken off to a facility.
Also in Beijing was Cheng Lei's partner, Nick Coyle.
You're in a cell with two people controlling everything you do day in, day out.
Nick Coyle is campaigning for Cheng Lei's release. Her two young children live with her former husband in Melbourne and haven't seen their mother since her arrest nearly 2 years ago. There's been very little public outcry, possibly for fear of provoking retaliation from China. When was your first inkling that something was wrong?
It was my birthday, August 14. The next morning I went round to her apartment and I realised pretty quickly that, you know, all the electronic devices in the house were gone, her passport was gone. And that was when I was pretty obvious what had happened, that she'd been detained, you know. I had to notify, you know, her parents who were back in Australia and her kids. They're pretty difficult conversations, as you can imagine.
Do you know specifically what the charges are against her?
No. Only what has been stated by the Chinese Foreign Ministry, that she was, you know, indicted on providing state secrets to a foreign individual, organisation or government is how the law reads.
It's pretty bloody scary.
It's a highly restrictive environment, is the best way to describe it.
That seems like it might be a gentle way of describing it. Until recently, Cheng Lei was allowed consular visits.
There's a 30-minute consular visit which is done by video once a month. You can send messages to the embassy to read out to her and then vice versa. But that's the only level of contact that she's got.
What does she send back?
Everything from bad jokes to, I think, you know, she wants to let people, her friends know and people she cares about that she's coping. You know,
bad jokes like what?
Oh yeah, she said in, I think, one of the last consular visits, she said 3 ways that her detention and being in a nursing home have in common, and that was get pushed around in a wheelchair, the food slop, and no one comes to visit you. So that's her dark sense of humour.
Her situation is no laughing matter to those who know the Chinese prison system.
Conditions in Chinese prisons are notoriously bad. Inadequate access to food, very little contact with family members, very little contact with lawyers.
Now, even the little contact she did have is over. When did the consular visit stop and why?
Yeah, the last visit was on the 21st of April, so the only information we were given was due to COVID-19 related restrictions that the visits would be suspended.
Journalist Peter Grester, who was imprisoned in Egypt in 2013, knows what it's like to be cut off from those you love.
That uncertainty really messes with you. The greatest challenge of prison, it's trying to maintain your own sanity and your own sense of place. That's going to be pretty tough for Cheng Lei, and isolating her from those visits will be psychologically devastating.
Remarkably, Cheng Lei's detention came just months after a roundup of Chinese nationals in Australia who'd been working as journalists. Do you see a connection there?
That appears to be more than a coincidence. That makes it particularly troubling because it starts to look as though Cheng Lei is very much a political pawn rather than a national security problem. And isolating her from family, from friends, but also from consular visits is just out and out cruelty.
The Morrison government maintained it worked on Cheng Lei's release, but Nick claims his approach to the former Foreign Minister Maurice Payne was fruitless.
I offered to have a discussion, you know, to see what I could be doing, what her people who supported her could be doing.
And what was the response?
Never got one.
Now, Senator Payne's office says it can find no record of any approach from Nick. Furthermore, Senator Payne was at no stage, they say, asked by the department or her office to consider a meeting request from Mr. Coyle. Now, in our interactions with them, we were also reminded that as a boyfriend, Nick Coyle was not treated as next of kin. Now, a change of government has given Cheng Lei's family new hope that after nearly 2 years locked up in China, she might finally walk free. What are you looking forward to most?
Just, you know, just giving her a hug, for Christ's sake. It's the simplest thing in the world, right? But, you know, just giving her a hug and letting her know that everything's okay and that she's free.
What needs to happen here?
Well, lots needs to happen. I mean, obviously the relationship between Australia and China has meant that we basically don't have that high-level contact that we need to be able to lobby for change. Clearly, Penny Wong has made it clear that she's going to be a much more active type of foreign minister. China at the moment is saying that it does want some kind of reset. Now, Nick and others that support Cheng Lei's case say that if China is serious about wanting a reset, that it would be very easy for them to release her and let her go free. But if you are watching and you're wondering what you can do, I mean, noise does need to be made.
Yeah.
You know, we've heard so little about her case over this period of time. There's lots of reasons for that. But as Peter Grester pointed out to us, you know, he, as difficult as his experience was, there was a huge campaign in Australia from journalists, from the public, from the community where his family was in Queensland.
And this is 2 years on now, and we don't know what charge, if there even is a charge that's been laid?
There has been a charge laid. We don't know specifically what she's been tried for. There isn't a verdict. There's so much that's opaque about this, but Australia and the population does need to give our government something that they can go to the Chinese with and say, look, there is pressure, there's community support for this individual, and there's some little kids in Melbourne that haven't seen their mum for a very long time. So if you are interested in this, there's some children that would benefit ultimately from your support. You can find a statement from the Alliance of Journalist Freedom and also an open letter from the Media Union calling from Cheng Lei's release on our website right now.